Are you ready? Because tomorrow we will be drafting our first pick. Will it be at 13? Will it be at 20? Will there be reaches? Will there be falls? Will there be people over assuming things? Yes to it all. What is up, Finn fans? Did you hear that? My wrist cracked. Tomorrow is the draft, 8 o'clock on this channel. I will be live. So the draft is supposed to start at 8 o'clock. It probably won't start till like 8:15. And then the first pick, even though everyone and their mother knows who it's going to be, and the Tennessee Titans have known who it's going to be for a very long time, that first pick will not be announced until probably about 8:30, which means pick number 2 won't be announced until probably about 8:45, and then pick number 3 won't be announced till 9 o'clock, even though the draft starts at 8, and it should be, I think it's 7 minutes for the picks in the first round, something like that. 8 minutes. Commercials. That's how it's going to be just. But anyway, we are going to be previewing the Miami Dolphins because obviously this is a Miami Dolphins channel. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button because I greatly appreciate it. And I'm on a road to 100K. So what we're going to look at is the draft picks. What do we have? We're going to be looking at the needs yet again. I've already talked about this, but I'll talk about it again. We're going to be looking at possible trades that could happen for players. We're also going to be talking about possible trade downs, how that could happen. And then I'm going to tell you who I want at 13 and 48. And then, we'll see how everything else possibly pans out. So, without further ado, this is the Miami Dolphins draft picks right here. We have 13, 48, 98, 116, 135, 150, 155, 224, 231, 253. In a nutshell, 1-1, 1-2, 1-3, which is the comp pick because we traded our other 3 to move up to get Jalen Wright. 2 4s, 2 5s, 3 7s. And it's not, we have 10 picks. But you want more in that top 100. And you can see there's big gaps in between 13 and 48 and 48 and 98. There's huge gaps. It's literally 35 picks, 50 picks. It's a huge gap to lose potential really good players. So the Dolphins want more there. So needs, and I've talked about this in a previous video. So I'm going to go back in my notebook to talk about draft needs. Now, for me, number 1 is defensive line. We've already talked about this. A big proprietor of that is because you look at the free agents that are still out there, and there's not a lot of good ones. Number 2 is corner. And this was before, I made this list before Jalen Ramsey's on the trade block, and now it's even more of a reason, but it's not ahead of defensive line because Asante Samuel, Mike Hilton, and Rasul Douglas are still available for free agency. Then you have guards at number 3, and I know, offensive line is incredibly important. But again, guard is number 3 because you have Dalton Reisner, Brandon Scherf, Will Hernandez, and even Daniel Brunskill as potential free agent additions. Then we have safety at number 4. It's not that important, and I probably won't be surprised if they don't grab a safety in the first 2, maybe 3 rounds because not only do they, Greer came out and said he sees starters as already with Melifanu and Davis, but Justin Simmons is still out there. Quandre Diggs is out there, and the vet Von Bell is also still out there for an addition. And then I also threw linebacker in there. But I like our linebacking core. You can even say running back because we technically only have 3 running backs on the roster right now, which is bananas in pajamas. We need to add some more depth there. So I probably put running back ahead of linebacker. I was thinking safety, but then I'm like, nah, I still think we have needs at safety. Now, before I tell you who I want at 13 and 48, trades. Now, obviously, Jalen Ramsey and Tyreek Hill, Tyreek Hill, the trade rumor has been around all over the place, and you have Jalen Ramsey. Both of these guys, I would be shocked if they got traded during the draft. Now, I'm not saying it won't happen. I don't think Tyreek Hill will happen, but Jalen Ramsey is hard to do during the draft because of the dead cap and because of the cap hit that the Miami Dolphins would take if they did end up trading Jalen Ramsey before June 1st. It is a negative $12.5 million cap hit on top of a dead cap of $29.2 million. So it's a big cap hit where if they did trade him and there was no type of compensation for money or cap, the Dolphins would probably be sitting at about $5 million in cap space after trading him. And you're probably getting a fourth if you're lucky. So I would be shocked if Jalen Ramsey is traded during the draft. I wouldn't be shocked if he's traded after the draft, June 1st. They save $5.9 million. Same thing with Tyreek Hill. Now, if Tyreek Hill stayed on the team, that wouldn't really shock me either. But, there is a possibility of, and I'm not hoping for it, so let me knock on wood. I don't want this to happen to any team, but a possible injury during training camp that a team all of a sudden would be like, oh, we'll take a Tyreek Hill for a third that could possibly be a second. But again, if the Dolphins tried to trade Tyreek Hill during the draft before June 1st, it's a negative $598,000 cap hit with a dead cap of $28.2 million. If they do it after, it's a $14.9 million savings. You're also dealing with that $28.2 million dead cap, but it's split up in 2 years. So I don't see them being traded. Again, I think that is a post-June 1st situation. Now, you look at, and I'll pull it up because we will look at it together. But you look at the draft and kind of where we're looking at, right? We're at 13 right here. That's not what I wanted to do. We're at 13 right here, right? Trading down would be a beautiful thing. And there is already rumors that the Denver Broncos are looking to trade up to potentially get a wide receiver. Adam Schefter talked about this, and, they talked about potential hot spots. They talked about possible players that could be traded. Adam Schefter came out and he had an article where he's talking about looming questions over draft class and Kirk Cousins and yada yada. But he did do one that I thought was interesting. These are possible trade ups or, where certain prospects could land. He did one of possible trades. Who are the trades and who could get dealt? So this is Draft Week is also busy. Here are players on rookie contracts who could be deemed expendable. And you have Will Levis, you have Treylon Burks, you have Thibodeau, you have even Evan Neal. You got some good players potentially on here. Travis Etienne, Greg Newsome II, and then obviously you have the veterans who could possibly be traded. Jalen Ramsey, Jerry Alexander, Kirk Cousins, Dallas Goedert, Mark Andrews, and Trey Hendrickson. Trey Hendrickson is going to be an easy, interesting one. But again, you're looking here. Dolphins are sitting at 13. Obviously we all want to trade down. We want to pick up some more draft picks because, again, we're picking at 48. So if we could pick up some more draft picks possibly here, in this top area or even back in this end, say a team like the Denver Broncos want to move up and they could give us 51 or they could give us 85. That would be interesting. If Kansas City wants to move up to 13, they'd have to give up a lot. So if they can give us 63 and 66, that would be interesting as well because of the trade here with the Tennessee Titans. All of a sudden, we would be in a very good situation to have 4 picks in the top 100 and, you trade down. And I'll talk about, again, who I'm targeting. But a trade down scenario, to me, is the best case scenario for the Miami Dolphins because they have so many needs, right? We've talked about this time and time again, that the only starter we have on the defensive line is Sealer. We now need 2 starting corners. We need a left guard. There's so many, safeties and all that stuff. So the Dolphins have a lot of needs, and the best way to, address those needs is more picks, and especially in that top 100. So if the Dolphins can move down from 13, say there is, and I have at 13, I have a huge list of names that I would be happy. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 possible names that I would be happy with the Dolphins taking at 13. You can go back 7 spots, give or take, if all 8 are there. And again, that's to Denver at 20. And you could pick up some draft picks there. But again, everyone and their mother in the draft is trying to trade back. You rarely find somebody trying to trade up. And, we're always sitting there when the draft comes. Why didn't we trade down? Why didn't we trade down? It's not that easy. Obviously, there has to be a mutual trade partner for you to trade down. It's not as easy as being like, Commissioner, I would like to trade down. And they're like, okay, you trade down. You have to find somebody to trade down with, and then you have to find the compensation for it to be an even trade to trade down. It's a lot. So obviously, if we sit at 13 and we take a pick at 13, a lot of people are going to be hurt and aggravated that why didn't they trade down? They probably couldn't find a trade partner. Like Denver might be like, hey, we'll go from 20 to 13. We really like the receiver that's on the board, but we're only going to give you, I'm trying to find Denver's pick, 122 and next year's third. And they're probably like, no, you're jumping up 7 spots. If you want to know what essentially they look at, it's this. And it might be small for you guys to see. So let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger. But essentially, it gives value for each pick, right? So, let's go Miami. So, like 13, the value is 1,150, and Denver's is 850. So they have to make up a difference of 300 points to move up from 20 to 13. So you're looking at 300 points. And again, Denver 390 for just 51. So if they wanted to, we would say, all right, cool. We'll take your 20 and your 51 and you can have 13. And that seems to be an even trade. Or if you look in the third round, this is 165. So we would take, okay, we'll take 85 and 122. And that's kind of close. You're looking at 200 and 15. It's kind of close to that 300 need, but this is what they kind of look at when it comes to the value chart. Because again, if the Dolphins want to go from 13 to 1, they got to make up a 2,850. Yes. Point difference, which is like their whole value, because their whole draft capital value is only 1842. So again, if the Dolphins want to trade down, that's obviously the best case scenario. Worst case scenario is they sit there and they take someone like Josh Simmons, who has an injury history, or they take a player who is a complete reach. Like, I like Gray Zabel. I don't think he's worth 13. That is worst case scenario. So best case scenario, a player falls to them. Like, the ultimate best case scenario is like Travis Hunter falls to 13 and the Dolphins take him. Like, for some reason, the draft starts and again, the gas mask thing comes out and people are like, we're not touching Travis Hunter, and boop, 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 13 Miami Dolphins draft Travis Hunter. That is best ultra magical case scenario. Or Carter falls to 13. Like, I know we don't need a pass rusher, but you can't really pass up on him. Or Membu falls to 13. I feel like Membu falling to 13 is more realistic out of the three, and best case scenario. Obviously, worst case is we completely reach at 13 like the Raiders did when they took Farrell that one year, or when the Giants took Daniel Jones. It was just a complete reach. So, looking at pick number 13, who do I want? Now, I always go into the draft not being dead set on one person. I've been doing this for the whole time I've ever watched the draft. If you go back to when I started the channel in 2018, I did it. Even the draft of 2020, I wasn't dead set on one. I think I wanted Tristan Wirfs. I think I wanted Tua Tagovailoa. I think I wanted Justin Herbert. And there was a fourth player I wanted. I cannot remember. But I was like, if they take any of these four, I'm Gucci. Like, if they took Justin Herbert, I was like, boom, cool, we got the quarterback. They took Tua, I was happy, one of the four. They took Tristan Wirfs, I'm happy, one of the four. That's my thought process always going into these picks, is I give myself like 3 options. Please pick one of these 3 and I'll be happy. And 9 times out of 10, they don't. And I'm like, ugh. Except for last year, I did want Chop. I think Chop was my number 3. I think the center, Graham Barton, was number 1. I think Chop was 3. And the pass rusher who went to LA was number 2. So I wasn't upset. So looking at 13, right? Realistically, like when you look at kind of grades and where they, Membu, I would, Membu and Campbell, Will Campbell and Membu, if they fall to 13, sure, give me those guys. Really solidify that offensive line, especially because they both can play guard and they very easily both can play tackle. And so God forbid Patrick Paul kind of starts to fall on his face, we can make that switch mid-season. Also, you have Jahdae Barron or Will Johnson. I'm hearing a lot of scary things about Will Johnson's medical with the turf toe and all that stuff, which is kind of, I wanted Will Johnson. I liked his play. I thought of him like an Xavier Howard type. But hearing all these medical histories, I'm starting to veer away from Will Johnson and lean more towards Barron, even though Jahdae Barron's the smaller of the two. So he probably could get mossed a little bit easier. I like his fight. So there's that. And then you have like Kenneth Grant, you have Banks, you have Amanwari. Those are guys that probably you're looking at a trade down scenario, trade down to 20. Hopefully Grant's still there. He might not be. Banks or Amanwari probably there. And Malachi Starks, I wouldn't be upset with them taking him at 13. So if the draft was tonight or right now, it's Jahdae Barron, Will Johnson, but again, his injuries worry me. Membu, Campbell, and Malachi Starks. Those are the guys I want. Kenneth Grant, I'm going to throw in there. I still haven't really decided if it would be a reach at 13 or not, and I don't think Graham makes it to 13. So again, I don't think Membu makes it to 13 either. Now you're looking at 48. I have a ton of names at 48. And some of them might not be there. There might be a run. And that's the other thing you got to look at when it comes to these drafts is all of a sudden, especially offensive line, because offensive line's not that deep, especially the guard position. You're going to see a run and then teams are going to get scared that they're not going to be able to get them and they'll overreach for the certain guys that they like. And they're like, they're not going to be there when we need them again, so screw it. And then you're just going to see offensive linemen go, which helps because it'll push better talent down, but it hurts because then all of a sudden, if a guy should be there at 48, he won't be because he got overreached. But at 48, I like Darius Alexander. I like Tyler Booker, even though he doesn't really fit the scheme. I do like his play style. Donovan Jackson. I like the cornerbacks Revel. I like the cornerback Amos, who also could be a possibility with a trade down. Say the Dolphins trade down to like Philly at 32. Say they wanted somebody at 13. You get a ton of draft picks from them, like 64, 96. Get some real capital there. Washington, like any of the top tier guys. I would not be upset with taking Amos there. Watts, the safety out of Penn State. I don't know why I couldn't get that out. Alfred Collins from Texas, the defensive tackle. CJ West as well, and Tate Ratledge. Those are guys I would really like at 48. Wide range of options. Trade down possibilities again, Gray Zabel and Derek Harmon. They won't be there at 48, but I think 13 is too high. So, I have a list. Like I started making my, it's not great. So when I show it to you, don't be like, wow, that looks like butt. I started making my big board. So for round 1, round 2, I have like who I like in each round. So like round 1, I have like Will Johnson, Jahdae Barron. For defensive tackles, I have Grant, and Harmon. For offensive tackles, I have Will Campbell, Membu, Calvin Banks, and Josh Simmons. Guards, I have Gray Zabel. And safeties, I only have Malachi Starks and Nick Amanwari. You can even throw Trey Amos in there, but second round grades, I have Trey Amos, Benjamin Morrison, Hairston, and Revel. For defensive tackles, I have Nolan. Yes, I have him falling. Again, the things I'm hearing about his off the field. Williams, Alexander, and Sanders. For offensive tackles, I have Jackson, Carnley Jr., and Ursay. Offensive guards, I have Booker, Ratledge, and for safety, I have Watts and Makuba. and I'm filling in more. I'm now doing this so when I watch the draft, I can start scratching off names of guys that I like and I want them to take that go ahead. But in a nutshell, giving you a preview of tomorrow's draft, they have a lot of needs. And I think the biggest thing and the most important thing that Chris Greer should be looking at is trading down and getting more draft picks in the top 100, especially from 48 to 98. That 50 pick gap is humongous. And if we could pick up at least one more pick in between there, it'll be better for the Dolphins. They can grab some good talent and then have, 4 picks to potentially become starters. That will help us a lot. If they can grab 2 more picks in the top 100, again, if they go from 13 to like 28 and they can pick up, a second and a third, even better. But that's where the conundrum comes in, and that's where the discussion comes in. Do you stick at 13 and take a blue chip talent, or do you trade down and take a lot of solid talents because of how many starters you need? That is the big, big question, but it's going to be exciting. I'm going to be live, like I said, 8 o'clock. I'll probably be live at like 7:45. I'll go live a little bit sooner. I do have my draft hat. It's right there. So I'm ready to go. I'll be watching, I think, ABC because I'm going to use my dish. I will not be looking at the chat. I'm not going to spoil draft picks while I'm live. I know you can go on Twitter and you can find out who got picked well before the pick is in. I will not be doing that, and I hope you guys don't do it in the chat. But when the Dolphins pick comes up, I'm put my horse blinders on and not look. But I will see you guys tomorrow. The time is here. Let's get ready for the draft. I will be live, like I said, tomorrow and Friday. I will not be live Saturday, but I will be doing shorts, letting you guys know my thoughts on each of the picks. Again, we have 2 4s, 2 5s, and 3 7s. And then when everything's over, I will recap the draft. And then on Sunday, I will grade the draft. And then on Monday, we will talk about undrafted free agents, and then we'll talk about best available free agents that we need, and then it's a lot, obviously, and then we have mini camps and all that stuff. So hit the subscribe button. I'll see you guys tomorrow night for the draft. Well, like usual, stay classy. If ends up.